Welcome to the Virtual Film Company. Today we're going to be talking about the brains or new brains behind AI. It's going to be a very exciting session. We're going to be looking at some of the new image generation that Google is doing and video generation. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Chris.
Yeah, thanks. Hello, welcome to another round here. Yeah, I think it will be quite interesting because there is a lot of new stuff, but we covered already a lot of things that people can use directly. And in this show, we will also cover a little bit of the things that are not yet there. So much stuff is in development, and it's always quite nice to have a little how do you see that peek behind the curtain or something like that, right? Is that correct? I don't know. In Germany, we say that differently.
Yes.
Yeah, that works.
That works. Okay. So basically, yeah, and that's why I choose that topic, like new brains in production. Basically, if we would take something like the AIs as brains, there is so much that in all the factories, like our favorite companies, if we go into mentioning all of them from Meta to OpenAI and Midjourney and whatever. So they're all working in the background, and a lot of stuff is happening. And just to see a little bit around what's going on, what's new, we have some news. And the first thing we can talk about, for example, is I have to find the right pictures here. Yeah, this is one new thing. We have the possibility now to connect GPTs, and we have one person that can tell us probably everything about that here in our round, because Johnny GPT is with us, and he will explain to us what is the big advantage to connect GPTs.
Wow, I can't believe him having so many GPTs. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this, because I've looked at his laundry list of GPTs, and to have all of them talking, it's going to be like a super brain. So I just needed to bring in that kind of introduction for you.
No, it's actually very simple, though. It's simply that one uses an @ sign, right? So, for example, we've created these motivational GPTs where one can basically get motivational inspiration, perhaps is a good way of putting it. One is male and one is female. And so to give a GPT knowledge of another GPT, all one has to do is do the @ symbol and then the GPT's name. And the interesting thing that I found, unless I'm hallucinating, which sometimes I think I am because it's changed so much, is that it remembered that it was connected to that GPT, and I didn't do it on the back end. It was me doing the front end. So, and something I haven't tested is whether I could do an @ with someone else's GPT and connect those. That would back to you.
Well, I only have a fraction of the GPTs, but I believe I have a few that wouldn't mind communicating with yours.
All right.
So we could try that. Good experiment there.
Definitely. So basically what you say is it's really easy to set it up, and the effect, I mean, it's like you can, if you have something like a GPT that helps writing a story for a film, and you have a GPT that is, let's say, creating characters, especially, you can hook them up together and say the one is really expert in getting great, fantastic, I don't know, scary characters for a vampire setting, and the other GPT is doing the story itself, something like this. Would that be possible somehow?
Oh, sure, for sure. The whole thing is very interesting to work with, because it, So it's basically programming in natural language, right? Where you communicate to a model that's building this, putting it all together with commands that you're putting in there to respond in a certain way. But, what I wish I could see is the totality of it all, because sometimes it changes and, I'm unsure exactly what made that change, or it gets fixated on something. There's like every time you ask it something, it mentions a particular thing or an object that it seems to be particularly attracted to. So, when you talk to people in the AI space, I think one of the things that everyone acknowledges is that nobody really understands how AI works in terms of thought process, right? Like it's
Right.
neural network per se, but how those neurons fire in the AI world, no one really knows. And I'm still astonished by some of the articles I read where people badmouth AI because it comes up with weird stuff. But what do you expect? It's it's continually learning and evolving.
It's learning. And let's face it, there's some humans that come up with weird stuff as well. So, I think you could judge however you want.
Definitely. But, OpenAI has made it very easy for people to create, what I in some ways think are, new knowledge bases. In fact, maybe Wikipedia and other, web-like knowledge sources are eventually going to go away because of companies like OpenAI, where people want, specific details about a subject. They don't want to have to wade through pages and pages of things to, look for what they're trying to. This just makes it very easy to start pinpointing and drilling down. And another advantage of AI is that you can feed it documentation at the back end. You can also connect to these GPTs using an API. The possibilities are absolutely endless. And, we talk about, it's
I feel like it's just amazing having a personal assistant working on a project, brainstorming, and the idea and creative session. Yes, there's a plethora of things that you can do, but to have those and go through the thought process and developing an idea, writing something up. I was at the dentist, and the girl is applying for another job, and she said she needed to write a cover letter. So as I was getting my teeth cleaned, I was like, oh, so what does it need to say? And I was writing the thing, and then by the time the teeth cleaning was done, it generated it, and she was grateful that she had a roughed out cover letter.
Cool. No, and that's I think, the big part of AI that people are missing. Everyone's doom and gloom when, getting rid of jobs, but it empowers people that, under normal circumstances couldn't do that. The only danger, of course, is that, it gives the impression that a person perhaps has more capabilities than they have. But I was speaking to someone yesterday where, we keep hearing about, someone used GPT chat to do this or chat GPT to do that, and, how bad it was. And I was speaking to someone yesterday, as I said, I don't want to mention the company, but apparently the employees are being encouraged to use GPT.
Yeah.
That sounds like the Wall Street Journal. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
So many people say that. So many people say that. Like everyone is really, really impressed by that. This technique was adopted by the people in that light speed amount of time, right? It really, really was there, and after some weeks, so many people already jumped on it and used it. Also in the working field, you can see how versatile those AI models are, and people can utilize them. Very important thing is make them accessible and make it easy to use them. And it seems to be good enough for people. So it's really, really a game changer and really something that will stay. I guess in comparison to the metaverse or AR and VR, where you need special devices instead just a computer or a smartphone. Well, AI was the runner, right? Because it had its features and functions. People could use that. It was very easy to be adopted by anyone, and that's the thing today, right? So
Yeah, to
yeah,
a certain, I think to a certain extent, Chris, but I do think like, so the metaverse was a big thing, but it's all this data being transferred around. I think the whole metaverse conversation and the way that exists was powerful. And now, yes, it has switched over to AI, but that world is just going to get really good at building these, I know we're going to talk about 3D models and all of that stuff. I feel like it's going to catch back up. And then VR is going to really have a place. I don't know. It's an interesting timeline that's evolving, though.
100%. Okay, we will have to go to the next one. So I'm changing the presentation here, and we will see that we are going now to a very nice thing called Google Bard. And there is some news about Google Bard that someone can tell us about. John?
Yep. John uses his he's got his GPTs that he uses that even have prompts, so that I'm sure that he uses within all of these other programs that he uses. And anybody out there who wants to, when you're going to be able to access custom GPT, you definitely need to see Johnny GPTs, because he has a very impressive array of brains that he has working for them. Are you ready, John?
Yeah, on that, just before I jump into Chris's question, I was also going to mention that this morning I happened to visit the GPT store, the OpenAI GPT store, and they've made some changes. So something is starting to happen, even though it's extremely slow. So, back to your question, Chris. Google, in my opinion, needs to come up with some sort of consistency here in terms of what their product is. Microsoft has done a good job with Copilot, where you bring up Copilot and it does, whatever. In most cases, this morning it behaving and still is misbehaving, but Google's Bard is interesting, but it's morphing into other products, and they seem to have made these, in some cases, pay to play. But the latest thing as far as Google goes in image generation anyway, and I know we're going to discuss video generation, is their Image FX, which is another entry into image generation for dummies. I think that would probably be a good way to describe it, because when and I don't know who exactly has access to this yet, but when you go to the Image FX tab, for example, and there's a few things here. There's Music FX, there's Text FX, but Image FX, and this is why I say it's image generation for dummies, there's a button that says I'm feeling lucky. And so if you click on that button, it just, in this case, I actually did, and it's a wide angle framing of a packed lecture hall, a gorilla in a tweed suit and glasses in front of the chalkboard, giving a lecture, digital painting style. So the interesting thing now is that, and this is why, and my apologies to anyone that, objects to the term for dummies, but this makes it really easy. Using Midjourney, for example, on Discord, one needs to know the -- commands to really do some interesting stuff. Here on the screen, so, I clicked, I'm feeling lucky. It put that prompt in. And what I'm seeing now, and I wish we could show people this, is that the prompt is there, but it's selected certain words of the prompt. So, for example, gorilla in a tweed suit, right? So I can change tweed suit to lab coat, and glasses to, let's say, sunglasses, and chalkboard to projector, and digital painting to sculpture, and then generate
it gives you options. It gives you
gives you a
options.
lot of options. It makes it really easy to use, and and you don't even have to think about it. It's just point and click. You can create art.
Very creative, John.
No, I mean, that's an interesting prompt, definitely. I mean, you were talking about my prompts, but yours are also really, really demanding. So, but that's the fun with it. Make something that normally you don't get in a picture or in an image, right?
No, exactly. And I wish I could share these images with you, because they're great. We have these gorillas that are sitting in the lecture hall, listening to this lecture. So
yeah, it's a little bit a problem here with additional screens and stuff like that. So it's always a bit hard to do that.
It's another. It's another
ahead,
version of this version in the metaverse that's taking place. These gorillas watching us right here, actually taking place somewhere out there.
Right. But again, I think Google needs to do a better job of, is it Gemini, or is it Bard, or is it now, this FX suite, or, what is it going to be? And, what
so people know what they're using.
For? Yeah. It's very confusing.
Yeah, but
I mean, at least,
don't you think Google's just a big enough brand that they're funding a few different things and seeing which one is actually going to be their dominant force? They're just developing all of these at the same time.
Yeah, but you can't just continue to play. You have to have product that integrates somehow. And Microsoft, I think, is doing a much better job. Adobe is doing a much better job of integrating this into their product suite. Yeah, I mean, that would be my biggest. They're doing some amazing stuff, but it's just like all over the place. And one day it's this, and one day it's that. And
right, I agree 100%. People need to know what they're dealing with, and if you have 10,000 new products and nobody knows what is this in comparison to that, where do I have to do that, and what are the whatever differences or plus and minus points, and I don't know. It can be overwhelming, and just the experts, right? The nerds will again jump on it, and the normal user, and as we talked about that, so many people were pushing all this stuff forward. So keep it simple so that anyone can use it in a short amount of time. That helps, my opinion. But yeah, it's definitely a good point.
And
I'm always impressed when it's a product that I can use. Always impressed.
Well, that's the point, I think, about this FX product, is that, and this is something, going back to Midjourney and David's office hours, something that he's always talked about, is allowing users to be able to create an image without knowing what image they want to create, right? So, to create something beautiful without knowing how to do it. And here it is in Image FX. You can just push buttons and you will get a beautiful, interesting image. So.
Well, we know we live in a world that people love to push buttons, so I think it has a good chance to succeed.
Well, right. So, and that is more or less leading us to one of the bigger topics that we are talking about. Again, it's in this case about our friends from Google. and they showed something in this case that is not yet there. We were talking about BART, and you can generate images with it. Not in Germany. I cannot do that yet. You guys can do that in the States, as far as I know, and some others. And they also announced another model to create video. And this is really, really, really interesting. It's called Lumiere. I guess it's called Lumiere because of the brothers Lumiere, those guys who invented cinema. And we have a little video that we can have a look at so that we all know what we're talking about. Okay.
Excellent.
Darknet, I hope that works.
Definitely good to know what we're talking about.
Always. So when you take into consideration that all these little videos here are generated from a AI, I think it's quite interesting. Okay. So things that were really, really hard to do for other generators, like walking people or stuff like that, walking cats and dogs up in the air, or the source that is getting over the incredible. Of the teddy bear, how naturally it moves, or the elephant. I think that was really hard when I tried that with other systems, right? They connected several model types, let's say, or sub-model types, I don't know how to call them in the end. You can stylize video, you can generate video from text, and you can, let's say, get a picture into motion. So you can take a picture from the Mona Lisa and tell it what to do. Smile, dance, I don't know. So, or this still image here of the train, and then the smoke is going. So, yeah. It looks really, really impressive. This is not yet there. So we cannot test it yet. It's just something for, let's say, the future, right? But it's, in my opinion, really, really impressive.
No, for sure. So, I think the big difference between this and previous video technologies is companies like Pika and others are using diffusion technologies where they're trying to anticipate what the next frame is. In this case, they're using space-time unit architecture to basically predict what the whole clip is going to be. And so, the whole clip is generated at once rather than it being generated frame by frame. And, it's very, very interesting. But the big question that I ask myself is, how much processing power is that going to end up using? It's going to be, in my opinion anyway, and maybe I'm wrong, enormous. I think.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, we see that those videos are always just 3, 4, 5 seconds, whatever. But yes, if you start to do 15, 20, 30 seconds, 1 minute, I don't know. And yeah, processing power for sure. I mean, we're talking about Google here, and they do have some data centers. And I guess that NVIDIA will be sitting there and telling them, hey, we do have some H100s we can sell to you. So in this case, well, right. But yeah, when people start to use that, and they're not just generating one frame, but they're generating 10,000s of frames for their videos, that will be a different demand. And we talked about the consumption of power for AI. So we see that it might be in the next years on the scale of a country like Argentina, Sweden, and Netherlands together and stuff like that. So yeah, but what do you think about the quality in comparison to? I mean, you did several videos yet. So what do you think when you see those demos?
I mean,
quality is okay.
Go ahead. I thought
I don't think it's very much different to, cherry picking stuff that comes from Pika or Runway or any of the other video generation programs. I mean, the real test here is actually to see how this works in production. To me, the interesting part, again, is the technology that they're using instead of, again, doing it frame by frame. Possibility exists here in theory anyway, that you could say, create me a film about, whatever subject with such and such characters. I mean, basically give it a script and it will go ahead and just like, Chat GPT, create you a film of any length eventually. So, I mean, I think that's the exciting part is that, we're no longer trying to do tweening. So, looking at what is the
Right.
next frame going to be and how do we maintain consistency between these frames. It's all just bang done in one shot. And so everything is consistent. And that's the big difference between this and present video. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, to me, like looking at like how they were able to generate the smoke and whatnot, and yeah, there's a lot of motion going on there with this, like the smoke from the train, but I think it's definitely got some repeating elements within it. But still, it looks really cool. The animals and stuff like that interacting. I know years ago we used to see these animals doing really weird things, and it would be this huge viral video. When I'm watching stuff like this, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's going to be the weirdest stuff out there ever, because you don't even need to capture an animal in the wild doing it. You can just make, I remember seeing an elephant paint a painting with a paintbrush, and it was like, oh my gosh, look at this. Now in this, like an elephant's going to be able to paint like a Mona Lisa.
Yeah. Yeah, for example, I mean, you can do really crazy stuff with that. I have to say, when I saw this demo, and I tried around with several, systems, not necessarily Pika or just some others. Moon Valley is one of the companies. It's interesting. I couldn't get anything in that quality that Lumiere is showing here out. But yeah, it might be cherry picking, as you say, like the best results they could get out of I don't know how much calculation time in the end. So we will see when this model is available for the public. Probably not first for us in Europe. So you guys will have. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I think it's groundbreaking technology because it changes the whole concept of how videos are produced. And I think, unfortunately, I still have say arguments, but discussions with people that still like the diffusion style, that shimmering effect.
Right.
Personally, I want to see real video with, depth of field and real motion, not just layers moving on layers. And, it's
No. Yeah, those videos that we did last year for testing, we had quite a lot of them. That's almost not even a year ago. It's I don't know, 8 months ago or something when we tried that. Well, yeah, it's different because the consistency was not there of the object. They were always flickering or whatever. And here you really have the elephant marching around there. I mean, getting the movement of an elephant correct and make a video out of that. I think it's really impressive. And yeah, see how the others react if Pika is doing that also in the next 3-4 months and gets the same results. But this is really, really interesting for the future, in my opinion. And just to say, well, they have those 3-4 different things they can do with this. So you can just make something from a prompt, text to video. We have this image to video. You have this image from the Mona Lisa or Tutankhamun, or and then it gets animated and quite funny that the smiles that they do. And okay, we know those videos from quite a while, so okay. But also the stylized video was really impressive. Really interesting stuff, especially we're the virtual film company when it comes to making films and videos. So yeah, we have to keep an eye on that, I guess.
Yeah, and just another note, I read last night, I haven't tried it yet, but Stable Diffusion, apparently Stable Diffusion 1.1 here. There's a new release available.
For stable video or what?
Yeah, for stable video. Hugging
Okay.
spaces.
All right. Yeah,
But,
this is unfortunately something I cannot really test offline because I'm the guy who always want to download that stuff. Because yeah, it's too big for the environment I do have at the moment. So well, yeah, it's like that. So right, yeah, stylization. I think the is it correct? Stylization?
yes,
That's the
yes,
correct
yes.
word. Yeah. Okay, good. Um, it's also really interesting making something completely different from a video and alter it. Or I think in commercials this could be used a lot. I mean, this is hard for all the visual effects people there, right? That turned a car into, I don't know, a box of I don't know, candy or whatever we did in the last 20, 30 years. The AI will do that probably faster, I guess. So, well, yeah, we just can see what's coming for us in the end.
I think for special effects people, how people are like, oh my gosh, they're gonna lose it's gonna take these jobs. I feel like now think about the safety, less people getting injured. You can actually, I think it allows us to reimagine things and how
For
things
sure.
can be done and actually push even barriers that are even like more. So I think this is just, to me, this is just all about advancing what is possible.
Right.
Definitely.
There's always a chance in there. Definitely. It's never that things are just bad. It gives a lot of opportunities. It's just when you see it and when you think about how should we have done that in VFX, sure, we could do that, modeling 3D and making a dog into this whatever kind of stylized figure. Yeah, yeah, for sure. It is a game changer in my opinion for that industry in the end. Right. So we will have to jump to the next topics in my opinion. Otherwise, we're going too slow here. So that was
Yeah.
Lumiere. And yeah, a short one, let's talk shortly about some stuff from NVIDIA. And I'm showing the image already here. There is technology called NERVs, a neural reference fields. Or, yeah, hard to pronounce for me. I'm sorry. And with those fields, you can capture whole sceneries. You can scan whole scenes. Of persons of your environment, your whole home can be captured and then will be transformed in those nerves, and a 3D object is made out of that. And you can imagine it takes a lot of memory if you're capturing something. For example, with your smartphone, there are already some apps that can do that, and then you need a good model that is able to handle all that data. And NVIDIA, well, they showed basically that they have a new model that is capable of taking a scene like we see it here with a girl sitting on a chair in a part of a room, let's say. And it took something like, that's written in there, in low quality, it was 345 kilobytes. I think that's amazing already because it's a 3D scene. And in high quality, it was almost 2 megabytes. Uh,
That's pretty good.
and now, yeah, and they can do the high quality in 373 kilobytes. So they chunked it down heavily. And this is a jump, because think about scanning in a short amount of time, keeping that data. If you go with a smartphone or a tablet, you don't have gigabytes and gigabytes left to go around to scan the whole house or whatever you want to do, right? So having this compression method is amazing, and that shows that they're heavily working on getting these models forward. And I can just discover that we are also going to do a little bit with 3D models in the next shows. And those can also be, for example, generated from prompts. You can scan, and that is using basically an AI model, and you can use AI models to generate 3D models just out of text. And we will go for that. We will do some testing and talk about that in the next shows. So this is just something to show what's going on under the hood, basically. What are the companies working on? And I found this and thought, like, wow, they're really pushing it forward. I think that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That video.
Company I suggested people buy stock in.
Yeah. Well, that's right. But I think they did the magic jump already from, I don't know, 100 or was, I don't remember, to 500 in a short amount of time. It was a rally when people saw, like, oh my goodness, they do have those special computing systems like the H100. Well, yeah, they skyrocketed. Incredible.
Well, the whole thing I think that people forget, and it always reminds me of a question I was asked many, many, many years ago. That was, who owns the internet? It gave me pause for thought in that nobody really owns the internet. It's composed of different companies providing different networks. Here, unfortunately, if one asks the question, who owns AI, I would say it's NVIDIA, because, it's what's required to drive all of this, to do all of this video that we're talking about in real time, create a video that looks like, as you said, Eric, professionally. It's going to take so much processing power.
So I looked up NVIDIA. So it looks like October 2022, it was only $112 a share. You could have got it. Today it is at $689 a share. It's pretty good.
689 already. Oh my freaking hell. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, normally we're not doing anything of stock market information or whatever, but yeah, it was a huge jump. I mean, this is a future technology, and they are really one of the cores. So, well, yeah, what to expect? That is incredible.
Well, back
Anyways.
in 2019, if you would have believed in them in 2019, you could have picked it up for $33.87 a share.
Eric, I had something like a demo portfolio in 2015, and I had NVIDIA stocks in there for $5, but I did not really buy those. It was just a game. So, well, let's don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Quote someone.
That would have been nice if you bought like 100 of those shares for $5 a piece, right?
Yeah,
where you'd
at
be
least
sitting right now.
10,000 would have been nice. But anyways, okay, it's life on. Right. Yeah. And,
You wouldn't be
I mean,
here right now for us, that's for sure.
well, we don't know. We will not find out, because it's a different timeline. So what else do we have? Well, we have the nerve compression, and yeah, we can shortly talk about the point that also a lot of models are available on the NVIDIA NGC, on the cloud, on the NVIDIA cloud system, where they offer you to use also models like Stable Diffusion and a lot of others, the Mistral models, different LLMs and so on their cloud servers. So this is also quite not new, but it's there. They're offering more and more in the last time. So if someone is interested in that, take a look at the NGC from NVIDIA. So that's the commercial for NVIDIA today. So that should be enough of that. What's next? Well, I think we can maybe in this, because of the time, we can skip the OpenAI embedding because we talked already about the GPTs. This was a topic about new little models in the background, making it faster for OpenAI models to transfer data, let's say. So also quite interesting. There was also another topic we will skip and probably use that next time when we talk about 3D modeling, where a company did a very interesting model that is able to deform images. But they're creating 3D models out of parts of the image, and then you can deform the whatever people, the persons in that image, like a 3D model, and then render an image back of that. So a very interesting approach as well. And now we can come to one of the big topics we wanted to talk about, and that is, the new thing everyone's talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about? Probably. It's Apple. So the Apple Vision Pro arrived, and because everyone is talking about it, we will talk about it, and we will tell everyone what we think about it. And we have one person who tested it. Eric, go for it. What do you say?
Well, where do I go with this thing? I feel like the thing that I'm happy is Apple is now in the VR space. We've talked about it forever. Was it not cool enough as a Quest 1 or 2 or 3? Like, the Apple users needed to wait to have their own product to get into the metaverse. So welcome, Apple users. Again, Apple put their kind of price tag on this thing as well, that like a year ago we were complaining about the Quest Pro's price, which is half of this price. So I think it's just a very, very interesting to where it just keeps people out. And I'm seeing interesting things. People are driving with them on in their self-driving car. People, their whatever attention they can get, they need to use this thing, working out in the gym, everywhere that they are, because they spent so much money. Now it's like this accessory that they have to carry everywhere with them.
Right, but Eric, the Quest user was the imagery better? Was the pass-through better? I mean, paying $500 versus, $4,000 if you throw in the iPhone and service plan.
Totally. Well, yes. I mean, so getting to that from somebody who's been into virtual reality to go into it within this, I did not get to, I've got to see a couple things. The very first thing that I was shown was the video with the dinosaurs with that plugged in with the Apple. It's a very much like a promo piece to where you would see this on a TV display in a store and go, oh my gosh, this looks really cool. Look how close the dinosaur is to me and whatnot. I've seen and yes, it was a next level of clear compared to where the Quest is at, but you're paying substantially more. It should be a better quality. One of the biggest things that I noticed was the eye precision. So as I put the headset on, I was looking, like a keypad would pull up of a password that you had to put in. And If you're not the user, it identifies your retina. So like whoever owns it, they don't need to do this every time. But if I wanted to use it, so I needed to get the code in there. And the way you had to focus on the number and then do the hand gesture, I felt like it was a lot on my eyes. Like that with the sensory in that thing, it just was another level up from, they're using cutting edge technology in there. I mean, I'm just glad to see more people are going to be in the metaverse. I feel like we need to work on the experiences, and regardless of what platform you're in, much like the Call of Duty and a lot of video games, don't matter what platform you're on, you're in the metaverse and we can all interact and be in there together. So I feel like this is a step to bring everybody together. I just want to see more of what they're doing to create experiences. Like I tried the game, the Fruit Ninja, and you could tell that there's a learning curve with learning how to operate, with just using your hands. I'm used to the controllers, even though I know we can supposedly get out of that. But the best news that I could say to anybody, yes, Apple has like the latest cool technology, but if you want to get into VR, and I know this should be all about the Apple, it's affordable. You can get a Quest Pro, a Quest 2 now for, used probably $200, $250. Like, you don't feel left out from getting into the metaverse. Get in. You don't need to have this huge price tag to be able to get in to it.
Right. I mean, I saw a lot of videos about that because so many people tried it. There were several people that really did side-by-side comparisons and used their Quest 3 and used the Vision Pro. And yes, for sure, the Vision Pro has a great pass-through mode. There's no doubt about that. It looks clearer and things like that. Okay, it costs a lot more. But when it comes to the use case, when you really say, I have this device, I want to play with it. You don't really have games yet for the Vision Pro. You have tons of games for the Quest. Productivity tools. Well, you have productivity tools for a long time. I also have them on my Quest 1, so not that fantastic, but they are there. If you just need something like I want 3 monitors hovering somewhere, yeah, it's possible to do that with the Quest. And walking down the streets, well, okay, that might be different a little bit, but okay, well, yeah. If that's the thing you want to do, fine.
Right.
Really, that's the point.
It reminds me of people walking down the street with like a snorkeling mask or a scuba mask on. It just doesn't even look like something you would want to walk down the street wearing. I mean,
and for me,
heavy.
like, well, it's not that it was heavy. So to me, I couldn't, and I'm just putting this as me. I couldn't get comfortable with like the adjustment on it. It's high tech to where like you just turn a little dial and it's tightening and loosening it. I couldn't find the comfort level to where it was not going to fall off my face to then be tight on my face. And I'm somebody who's been in VR, so I can only imagine somebody who's not used to VR going into this technology. Again, I was that person who returned my Quest Pro because I just didn't feel it was good enough to replace my Quest 2. And how many people are going to think that they just can't afford this Apple and they're going to send it back? It's such a price tag to where like they're like, people can try it. I'm sure they're not committed. There's a return policy, and how many of these come back? That's a true mystery right there.
Yeah, we will see how many people really find. I mean, I'm really curious to see those videos. 1 month with my Vision Pro, half a year with my Vision Pro. What did I really do with it? So yeah, let's see if people find a great use case with that thing. And I'm just happy that basically we can say we have parts of this experience, or basically something, in my opinion, that is better. An experience like Altspace, where we came together in our headsets and we made friends and met a lot of interesting people and had interesting 3D environments and stuff like that. Things that I don't see yet on the Vision Pro. We will see when that is happening. So, well, yeah, it's interesting. And what I heard today is now they announced the how is it called? Not the Vision Pro, the Vision Air. Is that correct?
I haven't heard that. That's a new Apple product.
Yeah, someone I don't know if that was fake or something. Someone said like the Vision Air was announced for 1,000 or a little bit more than 1,000. Um, don't know.
I haven't
It was
heard that. I mean, I had heard that they were going to be coming out with a cheaper product, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things I thought was interesting with the battery power, how it hung there, like they make the battery power pack. It's almost like the size of a cell phone, maybe a small, because you're going to be carrying this thing on you, which I thought was kind of clever from a product design, as far as like, okay, we need to get this weight off of the headset onto here. And it's an interesting, you can tell they put a lot into the tech of it. But again, I was ready to be blown away in the VR. I was going into all the apps. They have a meditation app. They have a drawing. Um, some of the objects appearing in front of you, like a butterfly flying in the room. Like that stuff is really cool. And the Quest 3 has that technology in it, to where like things are appearing in the room. It's like an augmented reality type. And I want to see more like the social VR experiences where you're hanging out with other people in the rooms. I
Right.
feel like that's to me what part of the metaverse is bringing people together without needing to be in those spaces, like having a virtual audience right here, being able to be in
100%.
this audience, being able to experience these different things, and then being able to hang out with people, go to a concert, and then being able to hang out with other people and dance with them and be social with them. We need to bring people together. And I feel like that's why I know Altspace was really cool. It checked all of those boxes, and it's a great mystery why Microsoft decided to scrap this, because they're spending a lot of money on all this other AI stuff. So why scrap something that's like working, and instead of keeping developing it? Where would we be at if there were so many amazing developers in that space and what they were building and creating, and then to disrupt it like that? Like, we talk about like with AI and model building and everything's doing, like that is exactly what was happening in Altspace. Like it was really pretty amazing.
Yeah, 300%. It's in the end, as you can see, the users, the developers, the community is driving today the stuff. It's driving technology. It can make a company like OpenAI within 2 months or 3 months to 100 million user base or whatever, because people are just pushing it forward, and that's the key. And so in that case, yeah, hopefully for the users of the Vision Pro, they will find a platform where they can adopt or jump on. I don't know if that will be maybe something like Spatial or whatever. I just checked. Yeah, the Vision Air is announced for around $1,000, but it is just working in connection with an iPhone, as far as I could see. So the iPhone is doing all the rendering, and the headset is just doing probably monitor functions, right? That's what I expect, but right. So something is coming for 1,000.
I see it
Well,
from a developer standpoint. There's a huge space to where to really create apps that people are going to use to bring people together. Like we need more of that. We need that in the Quest. We need that all across the board. That experience that way.
100%. We always need development, and we need people that are interested using it. The more people you have in on those platforms like Special or VR Chat or whatever, the more ideas you will find, the more you can do there. And when we think about all the talks that we did, and when I'm thinking back to Mr. Pete, who is using that because he's not able to go everywhere anymore, because when you're getting older, well, you have your restrictions. So it's so useful. It helps people. We have the BlackRock interactive, like when you cannot go to Burning Man because it's too
Yep.
hot and too expensive and too far away. You can have a virtual experience with people from the playa and stuff like that. So it's so many possibilities. Use them. I mean, that's it.
Yes.
Exactly. And I feel like that's where the technology is missing the mark. AI is surging, all of these things coming together, and I don't know why this is like, I don't know why. I don't quite get why this is not that augmented reality type of an experience, to where a true metaverse experience, to be able to be under multiple platforms and experience an event or a gathering. That's the future, and I don't get why that stuff is not being pushed. I guess we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, but hopefully we will get there. Yeah, that's right. I just read from Jolly. Thanks for the information. He said consumer version next year. I guess he's talking about the Vision Air or something. Well, I just read about that they are presenting something, and yeah, they will come up with something. So okay, John is already jumping up. Time is flying by.
Well, the thing that I like that I'm seeing with Apple is it looks like they're committed to this technology. They want to be a player in this platform. And if anybody's going to be able to, I feel like create an experience that's going to bring people together. I hope it's them that starts community building, because we need more of that. So yes, thank you, Vision Pro people who have spent the money and believe in this thing. I know some people think you guys are crazy, which I personally, there's a lot of people that can't afford that. So
that's right.
but
And that's unfortunate, and that's the way Apple is, though. It's a very elite, I believe, suite of products that only certain people can buy. Extremely proprietary, and sadly, I don't really see much of an Apple community expanding. I see Apple perhaps trying to create its own community, but I don't see them having any involved, unfortunately.
well, the future will reveal itself as to what is going on. But again, the good news is if you want to get into the metaverse and get around and exploring, like, you're only a few $100s away. You don't need to spend that big price tag, and maybe your experience is not going to be quite to that level, but it's still going to be good. So get out there,
Right.
get in the metaverse.
Right.
Sure.
100%. Meet us
Good.
next time.
Yes. Join us for more adventures of mysteries in the metaverse. There's plenty of them.
Yes, thank you for watching. This has been the Virtual Film Company. We meet here in Spatial IO every 2 weeks to talk about technologies. See you again in 2 weeks. Thank you for watching.
I will say, though, from all of this technology coming out, there's just going to be more and more mystery that can be adventured here, because the possibilities are endless of what we can do here in the metaverse.
Right. Was a great talk. Thanks to you guys. Thanks for watching, and see you around next time.